The following conversations are taken from our channel membership exclusive weekly live show that we do on Saturdays from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time called Members Talk Live. Find out how you can become a member and appear on the show. All of the information is down in the description below, as well as all of the links to the channels of today's guests. Check them out, and I hope to talk with you very soon.
Because people can tell when you're being fake. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're making
Yep.
all these videos and stuff like that. People are seeing your growth from the very first video. Like, my very first video, I didn't even have a beard. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're literally watching that transition, and it's growing and growing more every day, and you're building a solid community. And it's to the
Your
point
beard,
where,
right? Your beard is growing more and more every day.
Yeah,
That's what you're referring to?
exactly.
We're all on YouTube, so we're all experiencing the flux and flows, the peaks, the valleys of YouTube. And that question that you brought up of would you rather have the views but no interaction, or like the interaction with the views? I feel like when I get more views but less interaction, it's actually a little bit more disheartening in some ways, because when you get the interaction, at least you know that like your content is at least resonating with someone and they're responding to it. Whereas if you get lots of views, like really all someone has to do is watch 5 seconds of a video and bounce, and that counts as a view. So it's like more people are coming, but they're also coming and then just leaving. And it's like, well, why didn't they want to stick around? Why didn't they want to hang out?
Yeah, exactly. And it definitely makes you feel good as a content creator to be able to connect with your community, because all of us are in the same boat. We are trying to build a community at the end of the day of,
Yep.
you know, people that are, they don't necessarily have to be as like-minded as us, but share similar interests, because why else would they subscribe? So it does feel better to connect, but it does also, you know, feel good to know that YouTube is pushing your stuff out there when the views get high, but the connection to people is kind of what we're in the business of.
Yeah. And it's a reason why we start this in the first place. We start this because we want to start networking. Like, you know, the big example is, you know, us here right now.
I think a lot of like people when they start YouTube, and I was definitely one of these people who didn't really like grasp the whole concept that YouTube is, people come here and watch entertaining videos and stuff, but first and foremost, it's a social media platform. And the social aspect of YouTube is so important, especially when you're first starting. Like when you're first starting on YouTube, you should be going into the, you know, the search bar, type in it. If in this case, if we're doing movie reviews, right? Type in the latest movie review that you did, change that filter to like today or in the last hour, and then get all those big guys out of the way and go to people that are your size. Like go to those people who are posting with 50 subscribers and 5 views on their video, and comment on their videos and interact with them. And then the social aspect will benefit your channel as well, because then you're growing community and you're growing relationships through commenting back. Like that's Zach Guller. I don't know if you guys watch Zach Guller, but he's like one of my good friends on YouTube. He was the first person to really do that, where like he commented on my video, but he commented on my video in a way where he was reaching out for interaction. And because I saw that, I recognized that, I went to his channel, commented on his video, and then we just started doing that back and forth. And then eventually he brought me onto his channel on the stream. So it's like, well, that's a good question. Like if you were going to tell someone who's just starting YouTube, like the one thing they should do, I think that's one of the big things that they should do is like, don't worry about posting and then waiting for the views to come to you. Seek out other people and bring that over to your channel.
I would recommend, like, to anybody that's out there starting, do it. Anybody that's on the fence, do it, because it is such an amazing experience. And the one advice that I will say that big time content creators that I reached out to gave me advice on, just be yourself at the end of the day. Like people will know when you're not genuine, and when you are genuinely yourself, people gravitate and flock to you. It's like, because people can tell when you're being fake, you know what I'm saying? Like you're making all these videos and stuff like that. People are seeing your growth from the very first video, like my very first video, I didn't even have a beard. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're literally watching that transition, and it's growing and growing more every day, and you're building a solid community. And it's to the
Your
point
beard,
where,
right? Your beard is growing more and more every day.
yeah,
That's what you're
exactly.
referring to.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just, you just feel a connection with these people. And some of these people I talk to, whether it's Discords or, you know what I'm saying, build genuine relationships with other content creators. You know what I'm saying? I'm really got a good relationship with other guys I'm working with. You know, this is my third time on your channel, and I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, for this platform. You know, you do a great job at allowing content creators like ourselves to showcase what we do. But that's what it is at the end of the day. YouTube is like a way for all of us to come together, because there is enough for everybody to eat at the same time. It doesn't have to be super competitive. We can all work together and help each other out. And that's what social networking is about. It's just connecting with people.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things that has really, and you know, and it's still pushing me forward to just continue, is just trusting the creativity. Because way back when, I see myself as, like, you know, not being too creative, not being too spontaneous in the moment, and we're talking like 10 plus years ago. But now, like, I would say within the past 5 5 or 8, I've been tapping more into that skill that I've been harboring, you know, for a very long time. And I feel like this is the same with everybody. You know, everybody can be creative in their own ways, and YouTube is a platform to kind of flourish that creativity that we've sowed, and it's reaping out, you know, all these all these things that can be created into can be turned into a niche. And just use that, just share that. Don't be afraid of don't be afraid of having letting yourself have doubts of what you can put out there, because you never know. Like-minded people, you know, like us, we love movies. One of the easiest components that we found, and here we are. So the same thing can be done with anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He made
And
a good point with the niche too. Like, you have,
yeah.
once you find your niche, it's just do what you love. Don't force it. You know what I'm saying? Like, try to
Exactly.
turn, you know, we all love talking about movies, you know what I'm saying? Turn it into something that, like, you know, could start off as a passion project. Then YouTube becomes something that becomes a part of you, and you might end up doing for the rest of your life, because you don't really get aged out of talking about movies. You don't really,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. You can do this up until, you know, your last breath, and that's the beauty of it with, you know, the ability we have. So Frank made an absolute amazing point about, you know, once you find your niche, that becomes your passion.
Yeah, and experiment, like absolutely experiment, especially at the beginning. Like when I first started my channel, I had no idea what I wanted my channel to really be. I just knew who I watched. So I went through a phase of, like, I tried to be like nostalgia critic, and then I, like, that just wasn't me. It wasn't authentically who I was to do that. So I stopped that. I tried the Chris Duckman way of, like, being really analytical into films, but I just found that that wasn't the way I wanted to do movie reviews. And you know, eventually you find your own path. Eventually well, I don't want to say you figure it out, but you authentically find your voice through all the experimentation and all the tries. And also, don't be afraid to, like, it sucks, but don't be afraid to scrap videos if you because that's one of the things about the effort that goes into YouTube. Is I find that sometimes, and I did this a lot when I was first starting, I would shoot a video and then I would almost feel like, well, it's shot, so it has to go out. Like, I just recorded it. It's not my favorite. Like, I feel like I could have done better with it, but it was already 20 minutes. I'm going to take another 20 minutes to re-record it. Like, yes, do that. Like, if it's not, like, don't get obsessive over it. Like, don't, like, it's never going to be perfect. But when you're recording the video, you're the only one seeing it. It's not on YouTube yet. No one knows it exists, and no one is anticipating it. And I think that's a big thing that we also have to remember when we're on YouTube, because I feel like sometimes, like, even now, I get into this thing of, like, oh, well, I need to put this out because it's been this so many days and I haven't posted anything, and it's like, no one's expecting it. No one knows you're working on this. There's no pressure to put this out. So if you need more time to work on it, if you need a little bit more time to get it the way that you want it, take that time, put the effort in. Don't just rush out something for the sake of rushing it out, feeling like you're hungry for the views and you just need to get a new thing out there for the views, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely.
It's like what J. Cole said, the success is in the effort. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
you definitely have to everything you do should be for, you know what I'm saying, your passion. But I'm all for the, doing a couple for people that that people would like, but then doing one for yourself.
Yep.
Even if you don't expect it to get the views, like, my first channel, I'm going on close to a year. I'm gonna hop on live and just do like a year celebration. Like I celebrated my birthday on the channel, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, because it's not just about me. It's about you guys and the viewers. So I want to do celebrations with you guys to show you how appreciative I am, because it's not easy, you know what I'm saying? And like the way the YouTube algorithm tends to work, it's difficult because like, we always tell people, make sure you like and subscribe, which everybody make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because the way YouTube is, like, it's not a ploy to get people just to subscribe, because the way YouTube algorithm works, they'll push content in front of you. If I viewed, like, for example, if I came across Zach's channel, right, and I watched him twice, they're going to put his channel in front of me, even if I'm not subscribed. So why would I subscribe? You know what I'm saying? So you have to keep reminding people, and you just have to keep doing it for, you just have to enjoy what you do. And if you keep enjoying, which is, as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Well, how do you guys avoid burnout? Because YouTube burnout is a real thing.
I always encourage many folks, even out of the camera and out of social networking, but we all have simple lives, outside of what we do, outside of school and outside of work, and it's always good. It's always okay, because many folks, there are folks out there that don't even know how to start off with, like, self-care, and okay, what is that? And the most basic thing, like, going to the gym or do yoga or reading a book, or, in our case, we watch movies or TV shows. But really, that it matters so much with the self-care piece, especially if you're living on your own. Like myself, I live in this condo, but I have the freedom outside of my responsibilities for anything, and unknowingly, and I always tell folks this, like, unknowingly, you make it a healthy habit for you to explore other avenues, as far as hobbies, as far as other things that you haven't really experimented with, but all it takes is for you to just do it. And this parallels with what we're talking about. All it takes is to take the time, pick up a camera, pick up a tablet or a laptop, just do it, get started on anything. And for self-care with something that makes you feel good, the hardest part is really just that, to get started. But when you do, keep in mind that it gets so easy and things are okay.
I would just say it's as simple as taking a break, because and I've been in this trap before too, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about, like, no one's expecting it, no one's anticipating of, like, it might sound a little rude to say, but like, when you're not posting, not many people are thinking, oh, I wonder when he's going to post, or I wonder when his next video is. Like it's not till you pop up on their subscription feed where they're remembered. Oh yeah, like, I like this guy, I'm going to click on his video, right? Even the biggest, like, there are many times where I'll go like months, and if Chris Stuckman hasn't posted in months, then I'll start to be like, oh, hey, what's Chris Stuckman up to? Did I miss a video? But if it's like a week or two, I don't think about that. Even with the big YouTubers, like even Mr. Beast, like sometimes Mr. Beast will miss an upload date, and I don't even think about it until oh yeah, Mr. Beast, I forgot that he would upload now. So it's just as simple as taking a break. And also, this isn't, most likely, if you're watching this, and this goes for all of us, this isn't our job, this is our hobby. And hobbies are fun, and hobbies are what you do in your spare time to relax or have fun. So if you don't feel like making a video, and you feel like, oh man, but like this dropped and I got to get it out, or like, and that just makes you burn out, or that makes you frustrated, maybe take a step back and just be like, well, is this still fun for me? Am I still having fun? Am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I doing this because this is what I enjoy and I have fun with? Or am I just trying to make a name for myself on YouTube And if that's your only goal is to like, I just want to be a big YouTuber and get my name out there and get, up here with Chris Stuckman and Sean Chandler and Jeremy Johns, and that's your motivation, then burnout's going to come a lot quicker, because it takes years to cultivate a community. It takes years to cultivate a channel and even get to a point where you feel like your channel is a good channel, so burnout's definitely realistic, and burnout is definitely something that happens to a lot of people. But I just would tell those people, like, you can take the break, you can take a week, you can take a month off, and you can come back and you'll be okay. And you'll probably be more refreshed, and your content will be better for it. So that would be my advice.
And not to worry about numbers as far as subscribers, as far as views, or the statistics, that the analytics that YouTube always puts out there about within the past 28 days. Like no, don't worry about that. That's fine.
Yeah, because all that stuff, like, Zach was saying, if you're aspiring, it's cool to aspire to be like, bigger channels and look up to them. But when you add that stress, you're putting that extra pressure on yourself, and then you're not giving your best efforts. Then you're looking at it like, okay, perspective is everything, where you're just like, this might not be worth it for me because I'm not getting the results. You know what I'm saying? The results should be, are you enjoying it? Do you love still doing it? And is the community that you're building, you know what I'm saying? Is it something that you love to go to? And I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm enjoying it, going about a year in. And and the last thing I'm gonna say, because I know we do got to get into it, is take the time to just, if you have to take a step back, like Zach said, do it, and don't negate the people around you. Because they can refresh you by you just taking a break and going to spend time with loved ones, because there are a lot of people that are just balls to the wall, stream. They're negating the relationships around them, and all that stuff is good for your mental health.
Yeah. Right. And the last thing I will say too, before we get into our topics, is comparison will kill. So it's okay to look at someone's channel and like, oh, like, what are they doing? Analyze it, maybe adapt some of their traits to your videos, or maybe you learn from it. But if you're comparing, like, oh man, he's getting this many views, I'm getting this many views, he has this many subscribers, but I have this many subscribers, like, why isn't that? Like, you're going to get bitter. It's going to just ruin your mental health. It's not going to do good for you. And also, everyone is dealt a different card in life, right? And that also will, if you compare in that way, that'll, like, oh man, like, this person gets to work 9 to 5, so they get to see the movie on Friday. I got to work on the weekends 2 to 10, and I can't see it till Tuesday, and I can't get my review. They're gonna beat me, and they're gonna get more. Like, if you can't do that to yourself, like, you just gotta, in some ways, be in competition with yourself. Just keep getting better. Look at something in each video that you post that you could maybe tweak or do better and improve upon in the next video, and the next video, and the next, and just work on improving your content for yourself and for your viewers. And that would be my advice.
Yeah, that's great advice for everybody. Yeah.
And that is our TED Talk.
And that is our TED Talk. Thanks, everybody, for joining. One of the most anticipated movies for a lot of people, especially in our geekdom, is James Gunn's Superman Legacy, because Superman Legacy is going to be the launch of the new DCU, and everyone is just kind of like itching to get just a little glimpse, a little nugget of what exactly we can expect from this movie. And we've gotten a little bit of a nugget, actually, from James Gunn himself, because this movie is officially going into filming. They just had their table read, and James Gunn posted a full photo with the cast, also giving us some insight on some characters we'll get to see in the movie. So this comes to us from Variety, and it says, the cast of James Gunn's Superman Legacy has officially assembled in Atlanta, where the group got together for a table read ahead of production. The writer-director marked the occasion by sharing to his Instagram the first full photo of the Superman Legacy cast together, saying, after the table read with Superman Legacy, or with the Superman cast, and then he started to name each character in the photo: Eve, Mr. Terrific, Superman / Clark, Otis, Lex, producer Peter Safran, Jimmy, Metamorpho, Lois, Hawkgirl, Guy, the Engineer, all together for the first time. What a wonderful day. And just so we can see this a little bit clearer, we got the full photo right here. You can see Corn Sweat our Superman is in the back being covered by everybody. I don't know how muscular, how buff he is at this point, but he must be in pretty good shape if they're hiding him that much. A lot of people attention goes straight to Nicholas Hoult. He's got the shaved head, looking very Lex Luthor-ish. I love that Otis. We're gonna get a new Otis in here, which I believe he was created for the Donner films. So it's cool and to see the inspiration of James Gunn bringing in some elements from the Donner film for this one. But this is our cast, guys, and I gotta say it's a pretty good looking cast. I'm very excited for this movie, and just like I feel like the characters themselves, like mentioning before, Otis, it just gives us a little bit of a hint of the tone and just kind of the vibe that this whole thing is going to put off. I think this is going to be such a fun, optimistic, joyous experience to watch in the theater. I cannot wait to see this thing. Ace, you look at this photo, you look at this cast photo, and what does it invoke in you? How do you feel looking at our Superman Legacy cast?
First and foremost, they all look very happy. Let's just put that out there first. Like, they all look excited to actually be a part of this. I am excited that they are a part of this. You know what I'm saying? They have, it's going to be a fresh take, you know what I'm saying, on, Superman Legacy, good cast, familiar faces. Nicholas Hoult is amazing. Kind of makes me a little bit nervous about Lex Luthor, obviously, because that is such an iconic role. I don't necessarily see him as Lex, but I'm willing to give it a chance. He can't be any worse than Jesse Eisenberg, let's face it. But but there are a lot of good people in this, like Anthony Kerrigan, who has been in the DC universe before in Gotham. I'm a big fan of him. He played Zaz in Gotham. This is a really solid cast. And a couple faces from the Marvel universe as well, and I just trust James Gunn. Like, I am super excited for this, and I think the cast is amazing. I think they're gonna have a good time, and I hope it translates very well to the big screen, because let's face it, we deserve a good DC property as fans. Like, come on. We really do. Man of Steel was good. It was a good start to the DC EU. But now that the DCU is getting kicked off, I hope this starts off right. And I trust James Gunn. I can't say no more than I trust James Gunn, because he hasn't done any wrong. All three of the Guardians movies were perfect. You know what I'm saying? One of the best series together, trios movies in the MCU. And I'm excited for it. I am. I'm really excited.
How about you, Frank? You look at this cast, good looking set of people. I mean, it's here, man. This is tangible. The filming is beginning. This movie is getting made. What do you think, man? What do you think of this cast?
Oh, 100% on board, and in the exact same boat as Ace is. Everybody it really does look happy. It just shows how fun and what a blessing it is to just work with James Gunn, because he knows his stuff. And I think this goes back into what I've always said before, when it was first announced that James Gunn was going to take on the DC studio and, kind of go from there with numerous projects, starting with this one. Like, this reboot really is off to a good start from what we could tell. So next summer is just going to be filled with lots of stuff, lots of really good stuff. And this is just one of them. So I'm here for it.
Is there anyone listed in here in the cast for the character that gets you really excited? Like I brought up here, we got Eve, Mr. Terrific, Superman, Otis, Lex, Jimmy Olsen, Metamorpho, Lois, Hawkgirl, Guy, the Engineer. Like, do any of those characters stick out to you as like you're most excited to see, Ace?
Isabel Merst.
Yeah,
you guys know I find her attractive, and coming off of Madam Web, I'm sure she's looking to redeem herself. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
not that she
has her chance.
Yeah, not that she was bad, but Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's face it, Nathan Fillion is in a lot of things that if James Gunn is in it, Nathan Fillion's going to mostly likely be in it as well. So I'm excited for that. But obviously, Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be where the pressure lies. Can David Corn Sweat really bring it? Corn Sweat or Corn Sweat?
I think it's Corn Sweat.
Corn Sweat. Yeah. Can he bring it? You know what I'm saying? Because let's face it, you're going to get a lot of pressure from the DC community because everybody loves Henry Cavill. Those are some big shoes to fill Like you said, you can't really get a good shot at him like how built he is because he's in the back. Maybe that was by design from James Gunn to put him in the back because
I
if
think
this photo
so.
comes out, people might start to speculate and stuff
I
like
agree.
that. James Gunn plays chess, not checkers, so that might be by design to put him in the back. Give him a little bit of time to get buff. But I like it, and obviously, like I said, the pressure's on. But I'm willing to give it a chance because I like it. But obviously, the biggest name in this is clearly Nicholas Hoult. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about it. But like you said, the cast looks amazing, and it's not just them looking happy because you can fake a smile, but you could all see it in their eyes that they look like they're excited and ready to work with James Gunn.
Absolutely. Frank, how about you? Is there a character listed in this quote that gets you excited to see on the big screen?
So right now I'm watching Smallville for the first time. I'm already in I think in season 7 or season 8, and the Lex Luthor character is the one character I'm more curious to see how Nicholas Hoult is gonna bring out, because all I see is, I forgot the actor's name in Smallville who plays Lex, but he's one of the main cast there, and he delivers the characters, just persona, just everything so well as portrayed. And I have a lot of faith in Nicholas Hoult to bring out that same ruthless, heartless, sociopathic tendency that Lex always has.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Lex and Otis dynamic, because I feel like James Gunn's writing for that. Like I find that dynamic pretty comedic in the Richard Donner films. I enjoy that dynamic, Otis and Lex, and I feel like James Gunn is probably going to evoke a lot of that with his writing and his comedic styles with their relationship. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Jimmy Olsen will be really cool to see live action. I mean, he died pretty quickly in Batman vs Superman, but yeah, Jimmy Olsen again in live action will be awesome. But yeah, this is very exciting. I mean, it's underway, it's filming, it is coming next year, and yeah, this cast looks great. So, do we buy or sell the Superman Legacy cast?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Big
definitely
buy.
with it, and I love the addition of the not so popular names, like you adding Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho in there as well. Hawk Girl's a little more known, but Mr. Terrific, we've seen him a little bit in the Arrowverse. Metamorpho, not so much. You know what I'm saying? So it's good that they're adding these new characters in there instead of just giving us the same old stuff. You don't have to just give us the typical Superman villain. Switch it up a little bit.
And this one came out of nowhere this week and got a lot of people very excited, because it was recently announced on Twitter via a producer that was a part of the film that they pitched a Batman Beyond movie to Warner Brothers, an animated Batman Beyond movie to Warner Brothers last year. So old regime, not David Zaslav, James Gunn was not there, and we got a little bit of details about it. So this comes to us from actually, what is it? Comicmovie.com, and this is what they had to say. Before the formation of DC Studios, Warner Brothers was plotting a live-action Batman Beyond movie. The idea was for Michael Keaton's Dark Knight to pass the mantle to Terry McGinnis, giving the DCEU a new, younger Caped Crusader. With Batman and Robin led, the Brave and the Bold on the way, Batman Beyond was scrapped. But 5 months ago, Patrick Harpin walked into Warner Brothers and pitched a Batman Beyond animated feature. Demers revealed on X via Tunado.com. Before we pitched, they warned us there's absolutely no way we can do a Beyond movie, but they loved our enthusiasm. We pitched the outline for the entire film, and what started off as a never turned into a maybe. It doesn't sound like DC Studios or James Gunn were involved in this meeting, as he later added, in the time since, we've been pitching our way up the company, hoping to get to James Gunn, but for now, here's a little taste at what we've been cooking. And from there, they also went on to post these images, some concept art for the Batman Beyond animated film. You can see here, this is probably like a title sequence. It says Beyond. You got Batman standing there in a very futuristic looking Gotham. We got a little look at the action here. I'm told this villain is like Ink or Inkling from the animated series, which I don't really remember, but I did watch that animated series a little bit growing up. And this shot here, of which I think is just gorgeous and awesome, kind of looks like a futuristic The Batman to me. Guys, you look at these images, you hear this story. I want to start off with you, Frank, first. Michael Keaton in a lead Batman Beyond live action film. Are you disappointed that we never got to see that come to light of day?
Still, still for sure. But it's interesting actually in terms of Batman Beyond because well, I'm only a fan of the original Batman animated series. That's what I grew up watching every evening. Um, but as far as this one is strikes up curiosity too. Um, and I have yet to. I mean, I've yet as far as like DC animated in general, I have yet to see the Harley Quinn animated series on Max. But yeah, just bring it on.
I think it was right to be scrapped because from what we know, DCEU, they would have messed it up. Like, let's be honest. They would have messed it up. I would rather them go forward with, eventually James Gunn doing a live action adaptation because I trust him more. They would have messed it up. I am a huge fan of Batman Beyond. Terry, I've been harping to get a live action, Batman Beyond for a while, but as far as a new animation, I think we are in the perfect time for it because since the original series of Batman Beyond, I should say, not the Batman original series, since that series came out, it was 2021 is when it ended. Animation has taken such a leap forward.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at all the Spider-Verse movies. Imagine because it looks very reminiscent of that from the background, stuff like that. Imagine getting a Batman version of that. The only thing that kind of, saddens me about this is we won't get Mr. Conroy as the voice of an older Bruce.
Right.
That's the only thing that kind of breaks my heart because it just won't feel the same. Regardless of who you put out there, it just won't feel the same without him. But I am all for a newer Batman Beyond animated and then eventually give us a live action.
Okay, so you want to go the animated route and then live action as opposed to the live action that they were going to do first.
Yeah, because like I had said, the animation has taken such a leap forward that who's to say that they can't tie them both in? Who's to say that we don't get an origin animated story and then give us a live action movie that ties sort of into this, sort of like what the MCU is doing with their animation stuff. You know what I'm saying? I would love that.
All right, I could see that. Frank, how about you? I mean, you look at these images and you hear these quotes that this is a movie that has been pitched to Warner Brothers. They've apparently rejected it, but they're hoping they can get it made. I mean, are you wanting to see this? Do you hope that this gets made?
Yeah, no, and like I said, it is something. I think it's something that even Ace have said. It's the same feel the same vibe as it is in Into the Spider-Verse for sure. That's what I get. But nowadays animated series it's almost like where it's at because you look at other projects like The Invincible and you look at the animated series that previous animated series that DC has thrown out on Max, and probably more to come. This is where the direction is going to get. So I'm absolutely here for it.
I also want to throw it out to you guys too. I mean, in this quote, they revealed their cards. They talked about why they released this concept art. They say it right here. They're hoping to get a meeting with James Gunn. They're trying to work their way up the company, and obviously, James Gunn is very active on social media, always responding to fans, always on threads. You throw these out there, you get the fandom talking. This is going to hit James Gunn's ears. That's what they're hoping for. They're hoping that James Gunn's going to see this and give them a second pitching opportunity. Do you guys think that James Gunn is going to look at this and give these guys the time of day? Do you think that they're going to get their meeting with James Gunn? And could you see James Gunn being willing to give them the green light for this movie?
I think so. James Gunn seems to have what I like to call the pulse of the people. Like, he seems to know what people want while also putting his own twist on things because, like, what he did with the Guardian series while taking a whole bunch of no-name people and making them household names, I think he will be very receptive to this if the communities, like, flock to it. And it's good that, channels like this are talking about it to bring light and different perspectives on this topic, so that way you can kind of get the ball rolling. Because like I think if as long, and also with his universe, it also has to make sense. Let's put it first and foremost. If the only way that this won't happen is if it doesn't make sense to the grand scheme of things, because then that's how you kind of muddy things up by just giving the people what they want. It's good to give a little bit of fan service and a little bit of stuff the fans want, but you can't let the fans control it. So I do think that he has a plan. Do I think that he will do it? I'm hopeful that he will be at least receptive to the idea. Whether it gets done, we'll have to see.
Frank, James Gunn. I mean, he's got his DCU in action. He's planning out movies. He's planning out this universe. But he's also expressed that he's willing to do DC Elseworld projects. He's willing to do movies outside of the universe. Is this a project that you could see him picking up, maybe putting in his DC Elseworlds catalog to get that a little bit more full, get that going in the years to come? Do you see this movie coming out?
Yeah, with James Gunn. I mean, with him, I like to see how it'll be done as far as the animation goes. And I know that I'm repeating myself a little bit, but my full answer is just going to be yeah.
I think that James Gunn is going to give these guys the light of day, or the time of day. Sorry, I think that James Gunn is someone who he is for the underdog. He is an artist himself. He's not like other studio execs. He recognizes artists as being an artist. I think that Batman Beyond is right up his alley. We've had so many Bruce Wayne Batman-centered stories, and we've had so many Bruce Waynes and so many Batmans that I think anything, and Spider-Verse, I think, also really helps this become a reality, because they introduced Miles Morales to an audience that only knew Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and the audience has embraced Miles Morales as Spider-Man in these Spider-Verse movies. I think the audience is ready to accept Terry McGinnis. I think the audience is ready for something fresh and new from Batman, which this very well could be. And I also think it's one of those kind of like more not forgotten, but lesser known properties in the general audience's eyes that James Gunn would love to get into the forefront, that James Gunn would love to get out there. And if their pitch is as good as it sounds like it is, I think James Gunn would be thrilled to have this a part of his DC, not DCU, but at least under his command, his DC canon. So correct. I'm very hopeful. I think that this could be, I think it has an 80 to 90% chance of happening. I think it's very high. I think it's very high.
That's good. I'll take that.
Yeah.
The one thing that we know with DC is that they nail the animations. They may stink with live actions, but animations is right up their alley. Like, so why not make this? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Because I feel like 2021 was so long ago. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but it was so long ago. It's been enough
like
time.
A decade.
Yeah, two decades. But it feels like enough time where it's like, yo, I'm ready for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we live in a future, futuristic version of that. So like of 2021. So let's, give us this Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially because, like I said, DC nails the animation. If you want to do it as an Elseworld project, like you said, Zach, you made a lot of excellent points. I'm with that. I'm okay with that. Just giving us some side stuff, and eventually, if you want to bring them together, you can, because they do it in the comics all the time. But yeah, I'm with it. I'm all for this.
It does need to be updated though, because I'm pretty sure in the animated series the time is 2019. I think is when this futuristic Batman takes place.
Yeah.
So I never knew that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2019. So they'll have to update the timeline just a little bit. Do we buy or sell that this movie is going to get made? I think it has a high chance of getting made.
I think so. I'm with you on the 80 to 90%. I'm hopeful for this. And yeah, let's make it happen.
Avengers is always, I feel like, in the conversation with fandoms, because Marvel has a lot going on right now. Marvel has a lot going on, and Variety recently came out with a article talking about Marvel and how they're retooling their decisions with the universe going forward. One of the most exciting parts of that article was they've actually brought on the Bear showrunner to write the Thunderbolts, which I love The Bear, adore The Bear. Like, such a great show, and the writing in that show is fantastic. You get a writer of that caliber onto the Thunderbolts, and I'm way more excited for the Thunderbolts now than I was before. So information like that shows kind of the direction, the just the retooling that they're trying to do over at Marvel, trying to get back on track with their quality of content. But also in that article in the Hollywood Reporter is a story about Kang Dynasty and how Kang Dynasty is no longer Kang Dynasty. This is what they had to say. They said, Marvel dropped Majors hours after the conviction and is rewriting those movies, which will now either minimize the character or exercise him entirely. The first of the new Avengers movies, due out in 2026, was initially titled Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, but will be getting a new title to remove the character's name. Those sources say that even before Majors' conviction, the studio was making moves to minimize the character after Quantumania underperformed, grossing $476 million. Now, I actually want to start with that last part first, because personally, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because Marvel has never been that reactionary. Marvel has always been a studio that has a plan set in place that they are planning to execute. And just because Ant-Man and the Wasp underperformed, I don't think that would be such a bump in their road that as soon as that happened, they'd be like, okay, we got to get rid of this villain that we've been setting up, like in Loki, and putting all this time and effort into. Like, we just got to ditch that because this movie didn't make $1 billion. Like, I don't believe that Marvel would be like that. That sounds more like the DCEU back in Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman days. So I like, just first and foremost, I don't believe that last part of the article. Now, the whole thing about them getting rid of the title of King Dynasty and getting rid of the character, I think they're doing that. I do believe that that's what's happening. I think Loki season 2 made set that up, even with the way that series concluded, with them basically making Loki the new runner of the multiverse and tracking down the rest of the Kang variants, kind of like in like a throwaway line of like, oh yeah, there's more out there, we'll get them all. Like, it just kind of seemed like that's where they were ending Kang. So I totally believe that they're getting rid of Kang Dynasty as the title. The Kang probably won't be a big focus in the movie, but this whole thing about them like, oh, we've been getting rid of him before Jonathan Majors had all this stuff happen because our movie underperformed. I don't buy that at all. Frank, I'll throw it to you. Do you buy that at all? Do you buy that is actually the reason that they were going to move on from Kang in the first place? And do you think that it's smart to drop Kang Dynasty?
So I think this goes back because I look at the example of Quantumania and how it underperformed. That I want to say, because when that happened, looking back, Disney just went on this rant about like why it underperformed, and the studio was just questioning like, okay, is this something that everybody the fans would want to continue with, like what they want to continue with, and so on and so forth. I don't think Marvel Studios isn't so like I don't know what the right word is, but they wouldn't leave things like open-ended because of that. And I know I lost focus here on the camera, but
Frank is stuck in the quantum verse.
Right, I know. So but I'll keep talking as long as you guys can hear me. But yeah, they don't leave things open-ended because of that post-credit scene in Quantumania. And so they have to come up with a plan. I don't know if it's with Fantastic Four, because Nathaniel Richards, who becomes Kang in the comics, they might do something with that. Maybe the Fantastic Four will end Kang once and for all. Who knows if that's going to be added in the Fantastic Four storyline. But as far as a title for Avengers 5, like it's going to be a matter of like saying, introducing the new team that have already been introduced individually, in these past projects on Phase 4. So anything goes.
Yeah, fair enough. Ace, how about you? I mean, do you buy this? Do you think that they were planning on getting rid of Kang just because the movie underperformed, or do you think it mostly has to do with what happened with Majors? And do you think that it's smart to move on from Kang and drop Kang Dynasty as the next Avengers movie?
I don't think they preemptively, planned all this. They were kind of reactionary. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like because they were waiting this whole time for the verdict. You know what I'm saying? And if it would have went in Majors' favor, you know what I'm saying, then I'm sure they would have continued to move forward because one, Jonathan Majors, even though the movie underperformed, he was phenomenal in it. He was the lone bright spot in the movie. And like Frank had said, Marvel doesn't like to leave things open-ended, but you know, they have in the past with these post-credit scenes. Do I think it's smart to drop Kang Dynasty? From an image perspective, yes, but you still have to close out that storyline properly, whether you recast, don't give us exposition on it though. Recast, because Kang is a character that, due to his many variants, he can take any type of form. What I understand you wanting to move on, close that arc, like maybe on like a side type story, so that way it gives us closure on it. And then as far as changing the name, I just think they're gonna have to just go with Secret Wars Part 1 and 2 from this point on. Like for the Avengers movies, like that's their only trump card because Secret Wars is such a huge event in the comics. It's going to take more than one movie. I'm all for just making Part 1 and 2 like you originally were gonna do with Infinity War and Endgame. Give us that. Let the Russos come back and do it because they're gold, and I think Marvel will be right back on track. But like I said, they had to make a quick U-turn with the Jonathan Major stuff. They can act like they were ahead of the game, but we're not stupid. We know that they had to react to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like even at the red carpet of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania at the premiere, Kevin Feige was very enthusiastic about Jonathan Majors. Like he did a whole interview of like how proud they were to have him on their cast and how they had all these things planned for him to shoot after the movie, and they had major plans, no pun intended, for Kang going forward. And unfortunately, things happened in his personal life. That we're a movie channel, so we're not going to really talk about that. But as far as moving on from Kang, I could see why they'd want to do that, but I just don't buy the reason is because Ant-Man underperformed. But
I also like to just add as well, in regards to the Kang character, like let's say in another universe where Quantumania did perform and did massively successful job, right? Like and also Majors wasn't arrested, or none of what happened ever happened, and I would feel like there still could have been some twist, some turn where King wasn't going to be the ultimate big bad, because someone in the background has always been there and no one has not seen it coming. And yeah, Kang Dynasty could have still happened. I mean, this is just me, my hopeful, wishful thinking about like Doctor Doom still being that big bad that we've never seen coming, because not everybody's familiar with Secret Wars, and we all just know that it's this huge arc that happened in comics, and so we're gonna see it on the big screen with all the people that we met so far, in the past and in the present time. So
I think that's the likelier of things that's going to happen. To Frank's point, somebody else being the Geppetto and playing behind the strings, you know what I'm saying? Like playing behind the scenes. I think that's going to be what they're going to have to do, because that's a pivot point that makes sense. Like Doctor Doom was actually pulling the strings the entire time, so that way you can kind of move on from this. You know what I'm saying? My question to you guys is, you know what I'm saying, this is a little bit of a different topic. Why do you think Quantumania underperformed?
I think it was just too weird. I think that when you look at the past, well, first of all, when you look at the first two Ant-Man films, they were pretty decent. I think the first one did about like 500 or 600, and then I think the sequel, after coming off of Infinity War, went a little bit higher at like 700. But they were never like the MCU's like biggest box office movies, and they were also always smaller in scale and were centered on a daughter-father relationship, which I think was kind of the heart of the movies. And with the Quantumania, I mean, even the trailers alone, they just went so far into a science fiction B kind of plot. The world was really weird and wacky characters and wacky elements, and they kind of lost that core father-daughter. I mean, they tried to do it in the movie, but it just didn't work as well with the newly cast Cassie and a grown-up Cassie, which is, also Endgame's fault for having that happen. But it just kind of lost that heart that the original two had. And I think like it just like my wife, for example, it was too weird for her. She couldn't buy into it. She thought it was goofy, silly, and stupid. And I think a lot of audience members just didn't latch on to like MODOK and didn't latch on
Oh yeah,
to
that was stupid.
yeah, they didn't latch on to a lot of the goofy, silly elements that they intentionally went for. It just didn't work for a lot of the audience. That's what I've heard from a lot of people who watched the movie in my circle.
Yeah, I like to joke around and say like, well, this is the one Ant-Man movie where Michael Peña's Luis was not there to
That's
retell everything about Ant-Man's life. Like, like he should he should have been there. And I was bummed that Michael Peña was not in the movie because like, dude, this guy carries the comedy for the story. You know, it's not just Scott Lang. Or anything, you know, it's this guy, but yeah, it's like how you said, Zach. I have talked to some people and they said that they had expectations, and I'll admit I had expectations too. I had expectations where okay, we're not going to spend too much time in the quantum realm, right? Because you know how is the universe. And this was a time when we've already seen Multiverse of Madness. So, you know, is incursion gonna be an essential role here, even though Kang didn't mention it in the movie? And are we gonna spend time like out in the real world and see how it's gonna play out and how it's gonna be stopped? But no, that didn't happen. So, you know, Marvel Studios, it's a first that Marvel Studios did miss a mark there, and they just stick with the quantum realm as a centerpiece for that story, which I feel like it wasn't really a wise, necessary choice. But yeah.
Frank gave me a good idea. You know how I like to do my little, you know, theories and stuff like that. Make another Ant-Man movie, have Michael Peña in it, have him tell the story of Kang of Quantumanium and his story. And then you just make it fictional from that point, and then that's how you just erase that. That's how you erase that whole movie, and that's how you right the wrong right there.
It was all a dream.
Exactly. It was all just his. It was all just his imagination.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So buy or sell? Do we buy or sell? Let's buy or sell that it's a good idea to move on from Kang at this point. Unfortunately, I think so. Unfortunately, I think
at this point,
yeah. Oh well, they've got tons of other villains that they can pull from, so they'll be fine. Joker was a movie in 2019 that I think came out and smacked audiences across the face. I don't think they were expecting it. I don't think that they were aware of just how impactful it was going to be as a movie, as controversial as well. But regardless of all that, it managed to make $1 billion on a $65 million budget, mind you. So now we've got Todd Phillips returning, we got Joaquin Phoenix, and we got Lady Gaga coming in to do Joker 2. And how much are they doing Joker 2 for? $200 million. This comes to us from Variety. Says the budget for Todd Phillips' musical Joker sequel, one of DeLuca and Abney's first green lights, has ballooned to about $200 million, a significant bump, you could say, from the $60 million cost of the first film. Sources say that Joaquin Phoenix is getting $20 million to reprise his role as the Clown Prince of Crime, while Lady Gaga's taking home about $12 million to play Harley Quinn. Joker took in more than $1 billion, but musicals are tricky. Case in point, Warner's lost $40 million on last year's The Color Purple, according to sources, though that one can be blamed on the previous regime. And that comes to us from Variety. And along with this, we also got our first look at Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix as Harley Quinn and Joker in Joker 2. Nothing that impressive, to be honest, but you know, it's fun to see Joaquin back in the Joker Joker makeup, and I think Lady Gaga is going to be a great Harley Quinn. But $200 million for this sequel. Whew. For a musical, nonetheless, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know where you put $200 million into this budget. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is 20, Lady Gaga is 12. I'm sure there's some, you know, execs and producers, and of course the talent agents. I'm sure they're getting some money too. But where do you go from a $60 million pretty contained almost like a little indie film, at least for a comic book movie, a little indie film of the first one for 60 million. How on earth do you get this thing to 200 million dollars? I mean, do you guys have any theory? I mean, obviously there's a musical element. Depending on how wacky, how crazy they go, maybe there's more CGI elements, some more computer generated images put into this to bring their illusions and their delusions, I should say, to life in these sequences.
Yeah.
I'm sure the studio is looking at that $1 billion the first one made, and they're like, you know what, we can make it bigger, which will make it better, and then we'll make even more money, so we can pump more into this because that's been proven to work in the past. Frank, what do you think of this, man? $200 million for Joker 2. Do you see any way that this is justifiable for this movie?
I would say DC, please do not hire whoever it is that you just hired, because they just scammed you guys really big time. Honestly. And that was my first thought. My second thought was like, okay, how much is Lady Gaga really worth to have her in a villain movie? So, oh man, but yeah, it's bonkers. I really like the term that they used in there in that article, ballooned to $200 million. But but yeah, it's just like, why spend on a movie and a simple, kind of street level sort of, story about a villain, well, two villains in this case, and really there's not much to really put up or add up as, to make it fancy, to make it even as far as musical. So yeah, I don't know, doesn't work for me.
Yeah, crazy. Ace, I was reading a little bit of theories and articles and stuff online, and one thing that I came across was, every minute that you have a movie into production is money through the roof that you're spending on it, right? Could it be that the strikes affected this budget? I mean, we know that during the writers and the actors strike that this would have been on pause. Every day that this wasn't being filmed was another day they were losing money, having to put more into it. How do you think this thing ballooned to this size? And do you see any way that this movie is going to be able to recover from a budget like this?
I am completely baffled by $200 million. Like, I just don't, I'm trying to put my finger around where the money is actually going to. Cause you said Lady Gaga, you broke down Lady Gaga and, him what they're getting. Like, who did you hire to do the songwriting? Like Lin-Manuel Miranda to do the songwriting, and like
Wow.
John Williams to do the score? Is that where the money's going? Because like, I have no idea. Maybe they're trying to promote it better by saying it's going to have this big of a budget to get people to kind of come into it, because musicals don't really, not that they don't translate well to the big screen, they're not promoted well. You know what I'm saying? Like, look back at the Mean Girls wasn't promoted well. Wonka wasn't promoted well. And so people that don't know their musical are kind of going in blindsided. So maybe they're trying to like cover that up with such a big budget. Like, this is gonna be grand. Like, everybody needs to come see this type. But I don't know. I'm lost as far as I'm just having a hard time figuring out who's writing these checks. Because if they're writing these checks like that, I got a bridge to sell you. Like, for real, I could, come on, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And I mean, it's so crazy to the point that this movie is now costing more to make than Dune Part 2 costs to make.
Oh my god,
And
that makes it worse.
You look at the visuals, you look at the visual effects that went into that movie. I mean, this movie has got to be the best looking, most impressive visual effects movie of the year. Yeah, I don't know, because even like the musical aspect, we've gotten quotes saying like, well, it's not really a musical, there's music in it, so maybe they're paying out license fees for like all these big artists to have the music incorporated into the film. But yeah, I don't see the reasoning behind it. I don't see why. I mean, Joker, with its smaller budget, it worked more because it just felt, I mean, not to be like a snob or anything, but it just felt like a film. It looked like a film. It operated as like an authentic kind of classic feeling film. And I think that kind of drew audiences in because it was a comic book movie without the big, I mean, it was about the villain. There wasn't really even a villain in it. And there wasn't like big gigantic action sequences. You didn't have, Batman flying around fighting Joker at any point. And it worked on that level and it worked on that budget. And I don't know. This budget kind of makes me fear a little bit that they're going to miss the point of what people gravitated towards for the first Joker. And I just feel like this is going to try to be bigger and be more like a, general comic book movie. Maybe there's more action, maybe there's more of this and that, and I don't know if that's what audiences would be looking for from a Joker 2. I don't know. What do you think about that, man?
Do you think that they could possibly be bringing in a cameo of somebody big that maybe that's why it ballooned the budget a little bit? Do you think that?
Like who? Who do you think, when you're thinking cameo, who are you thinking?
Obviously a variation of some sort of Batman. Like, I don't know. They're, something. I have no idea. Why else would the budget be like this huge?
Yeah. It's baffling. I have no answers. I have no idea. We just have to wait.
Yeah, me neither. No, and thinking about like, okay, who did they cast as a cameo that's going to show up, or not just one but two, and are they really that broke that they need that much money? Because
I mean, like you hear like Warner Brothers is, I think, a mess financially right now because I mean, every studio in Hollywood is kind of doing this too, where they just have these insane huge budgets because a lot of these things are being budgeted before pandemic and before writers and actors strike and all that stuff. So we were in a time where you were having like 2019 was a big year. Like a lot of movies were hitting $1 billion. Audiences were coming out to a lot of theatrical experiences. And when that was happening, like Joker making $1 billion, Joker 2 probably got greenlit with that in mind. But now the theater culture has shifted and changed, and it takes a lot. It takes a Barbie, it takes an Oppenheimer, it takes an event, a true event that is like a cultural moment to get people into the theater to make $1 billion to make these big budgets work. So they've budgeted these movies so high at a time when they feel like they could have been met. Now those times have shifted and these budgets are just out of control. But then you got Warner Brothers over here like, we're shelving Coyote vs. Acme that cost $70 million to make because we don't believe that it's going to make money in the theater. But then they're over here with Joker 2, $200 million.
Same with Batgirl. Like, we're just gonna scrap this. Like, I didn't realize you guys had money to blow like that. Like, holy, like, come on, man. Like, ooh, maybe some of the $200 million budget is definitely gonna go to marketing as well. Some of that, because it does take a lot of money to market. With that stuff that you have to take into consideration. But like I said, it's hard to market musicals. You know what I'm saying? It really is, because you don't want to give away anything and stuff like that. So maybe they're going to do something crazy marketing wise to be able to get like butts and seats. So
yeah, that includes the press tour. Press tours can also cost money as well.
And these are two popular people. You know what I'm saying? Especially the addition of Lady Gaga as well. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the concept of Joker and Harley Quinn are kind of getting played out now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need a little break from it, because it's like we've gotten hit so hard with Joker and Harley Quinn, and they're not taking any breaks with it. So it's like, people are going to get tired of it. People are going to get burned out. And Joker 1, I enjoyed it for watching it the first time, but I didn't think it was very rewatchable. So I kind of saw it the one time, like watched it a little bit through, and then, because once the suspense faded away, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, it's just like a regular movie. And it's because like they decided to take a different direction. But it made money in the box office due to, I think, people's curiosity on it to see what was going on. I have a hard time thinking this one's going to hit $1 billion. I don't think it's going to. I think the fact that it is a musical will turn a lot of people off to it. A lot of people don't like going to see those, but I don't think it's going to hit. It's going to be as profitable. Will they make their money back? Yes, because it's a comic book property. But it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and then there's the obvious idea of the fact that Lady Gaga is going to play a villain, a well-known villain too, and a lot of fans, not movie fans, but music fans, and they're fans of Lady Gaga. It's gonna be, it'll have the same effect as if Taylor Swift is confirmed to show up in Deadpool 3, and fans are gonna be flocking the theaters just to check that small cameo from this pop artist that they so love. But you have another pop artist in a comic book based film project, and this is she's one of the lead roles in the movie, which is even grand. So
Yeah, I was gonna say you want this movie to hit $1 billion, get Taylor Swift to play Harley Quinn instead. This movie would definitely hit $1 billion.
I honestly, I think she'd be a good Harley Quinn. Honestly, I think she could do it.
oh, she would definitely pull it off. Now that I
Her
picture it,
that actually might break the all time. That might be Avatar, and then James Cameron's gonna get so pissed he's got to re-release Avatar again.
Then they'll put Taylor Swift in Avatar.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
oh man.
Well, guys, let's buy or sell this. I mean, Joker 2, $200 million budget. Do we buy or sell this budget for this movie? I just don't see it. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I definitely know.
They're just printing money out there in Warner Brothers. Must be nice. Like
Yeah.
all this money they're printing, but they still can't make a decent live action movie.
However, they can be. I can validate the fact that you could differentiate between them and Sony, because Sony is way more desperate than Warner Brothers is. But so I don't know.
But at least with Sony, though, Sony's casting has never been a problem. It's the writing that was bad. Sony's casting and Fox's casting were really good. They brought in really good actors that were kind of like on the come up, but then the writing was just so terrible. And it plays a part where, you have to factor this in as well when it comes to Sony, Fox, who is now part of, Marvel, and DC. They're all trying to play catch up to the MCU. That they're, that they didn't take the time to really do things right because they were trailing.
That will do it. That will be the episode for today. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for these topics to discuss and for being members, especially. Thank you guys so much for that. And I want the people to go find you. Their links are down in the description below, but please tell them where they can find you on your channels. Ace, we'll start with you.
You can find me at the Ace Avenue. That is DAACE Avenue for movie coverage just like this, reviews, reactions, and rankings. I also have my sports side. I just got done doing my stuff to the Avatar, The Last Airbender Netflix edition. So make sure you go check that out. 25 subscribers away from 900. Would love to get there very soon, guys. Nice. We're so close. I can taste it. Appreciate each and every one of you for your support. And thank you, Zach, for having this platform and constantly bringing me on. Appreciate you.
Right back at you, man. And Frank, how about you?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Optimistic Forever, both on Instagram and Twitter, as well as finding me YouTube there, where I make reviews of both movies and TV shows. I highly recommend Smallville for those who have not seen the series yet. It is streaming on Hulu all seasons, so definitely recommend it if you're a Superman fan.
Perfect. All right. And yeah, I'm here. You guys can just find me here. This is where I am. So that's about it. And with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys again next week. Take care.